Hi friends. Obviously it's been quite a grip of time. I've really missed you guys. I've missed filming for YouTube. So yeah, I'm gonna make a little debut today and kind of catch you guys up, honestly, with just like some life updates, what's been going on, what I've been going through. This is how out of the loop I am. I didn't even do a proper introduction for this video, but hello and welcome. My name is Erin for all of those who are new here. And for all of my returners, y'all already know. Primarily, I love to do anything that's centered around fiber arts, specifically crochet. I love to dye yarn, I love to write patterns, pretty much all of the things that I haven't been able to do for about the last month. Yeah, kind of mind blowing. So honestly, let's just jump into essentially a very chatty crochet with me because yeah, I'm going to be attempting to crochet as I speak. For those of you who have attended several of my live streams, you know that this is not necessarily a skill that I've mastered. Probably not going to get that much work done on this project, but this is going to be a little bit of like a comfort project as I speak, just because I feel so out of practice. And my apologies if the lighting goes in and out several times throughout this video. Not much I can do about it. I really wanted to utilize the natural light here in the office because it looks really good, but just the way that it faces, there's a lot of fluctuation. And I'm sure that editing this video in post is going to drive me wild. So yeah, if you notice a lot of inconsistencies with the lighting throughout this clip, no, you didn't. You didn't. And because I already know y'all are going to ask in the comments, I am currently trying to rewrite a pattern. This was like the raglan cardigan tutorial that I put out, I'd say almost 2 years ago. It's honestly a really quick and easy project, so I'm just trying to like whip out a really clear-cut version for the pattern. And I'm also using a new colorway. But this colorway is technically part of my spring collection. It's going to be 10 colors in total. I'll talk about that more later on in this little chatty catch-up. But for now, yeah, that's what I'm working on. Let's give you guys a close-up on the colors because I hope I don't have to color correct this, but it's just a really gorgeous like peachy salmony pink color with a ton of speckling. So yeah, that's my quick little rundown on the current situation, and let's start getting into what the heck has been going on with me. Now, in all reality, I've kind of been sitting on this for a second because at the current point in time, I'm still unsure of what is going on with my health. And there's also like a fine line between like being open and sharing the information, but then also like oversharing given TMI. I would rather be open and honest and share a little bit about what's been going on with me and how I'm feeling, how it's been affecting me. And if in any way you guys can relate or you have dealt with something like this, then you know this video is worth making and hopefully we can support each other. So as I start to get into like a little bit of the story, I do want to clarify that I think there's a few different things going on, and I'm not sure how much these things are related to each other or if they're just like completely separate issues. Just right off of the bat, one of the main things I'm noticing is like feminine reproductive health issues. I'm not going to sit here and like try to self-diagnose, but from my research, I think there's a strong possibility that I could either be dealing with something like endometriosis or something like PCOS. Again, I'm not 100% sure. I haven't been diagnosed, nothing like that. And then the second issue, and more so the biggest issue I've been dealing with, is a lot of gut GI health issues, so like gastrointestinal. And it's been really brutal. About mid-March, the first issue I was noticing again was like uterine health stuff. I was severely bloated for about 2 to 3 weeks, in a lot of pain. I was taking Midol. I was doing heat compression on my stomach just because I had no idea really what this severe bloating was doing or what was causing it. But right around the time that I was dealing with all of that, I very quickly developed some type of GI issue where I was having severe cramping in my stomach 24/7. It didn't really matter what I was eating or for the most part what I was drinking. Everything caused my stomach to cramp and burn and hurt. And not only would it hurt like up here, but it would also hurt as it would go through the digestive tract. And to accompany all of that was very severe acid reflux and heartburn. And when I say 24/7, I mean all day long. From the minute I would wake up to trying to fall asleep, I'm constantly burping all day long, or I feel like I have all this pressure in me. It's stuck in me all the time. And if you guys have dealt with like chronic indigestion, heartburn, acid reflux, you know that pain of when it gets so sharp and it's sitting in there, but the gas can't release. When it gets to a point where I'm dealing with it all day long, it really starts to take a toll on your mental health. It got to a point where towards the end of March, I started to develop panic attacks. In college, I dealt with a lot of depression and a lot of anxiety. The feeling of a panic attack, honestly, the best way to put it is terrifying in the moment when you're having them. Sometimes you know what's causing them, but sometimes they literally come out of nowhere. And my first really big panic attack happened when Jordan and I were literally just watching a TV show. I think we were watching Game of Thrones. And all of a sudden, I felt my heart start to race. It was like pounding out of my chest. I had no idea why. In hindsight, I think a lot of it was due to, again, my GI stuff. And when the pain would set on in my stomach, there's like this voice in my head that's like telling me, uh-oh, something is really, really wrong, like life-threatening wrong. It's a really scary feeling. If you guys have ever dealt with them, I sympathize with you, because sometimes there's not much to do for them other than to let them run their course. I will say Jordan is a freaking trooper, because when I was going through it, like at my worst, he was really holding me down. He would instantly like put on meditative music or like videos on YouTube. We'd be doing breath work together. He'd be trying to like rub me, just help calm me down and ground me again. But I will say also that the panic attacks started to get to a point where my body was essentially involuntarily like convulsing, like neck down, everything was shaking so bad. So that was something else that came along with all this gut health stuff. I need to pause here for a break of water. It is kind of interesting recounting all of this, because, you know, I went through all of this in the moment, but to kind of like revisit the feelings again, I almost feel like shaky right now. It's kind of crazy. Quick puppy break to say hi to Suki. It's also been a while since she made her debut. She recently got a haircut. You can't really tell right here because I think they left. Hi. Okay. Hi. Okay. They left all of the hair on top of her head. But as for like her body, they freaking shaved her down. She looks really good. They left the hair on like her legs, and even like her back legs. Like, look at that. It looks so cute. She kind of reminds me of like a Clydesdale horse, if that's even the right horse name. And then unmistakably, yes, she has her diapers on because she just went into heat recently. So yeah, the two girls in the house are about to sync up. Girl squad forever. She has been rather needy with her, you know, recent changes as well, which is perfect for me because I think we both need each other. We have each other to hug on and love on and kind of understand what each other are going through. So very lucky and blessed that we have such a sweet, kind, gentle doggy as you. You know, some days she's a mama's girl and she loves the cuddles, and then other days she wants nothing to do with me. She just wants her dad, which is, you know, it's cool. We take turns, but she's being a little cuddle bug right now. I love it. I love it. That's my good girl. That's my good girl. Yeah. All right, well, I'm not too sure what was the very last thing that I said, but I'm pretty sure it had to do with like the panic attacks and then, you know, the stomach stuff. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot of tension. There's definitely a lot of pain and a lot of negativity. And a lot of this is just kind of like cyclical and it's fueling itself. And needless to say, times are looking rough. So with all of this going on, there were a few very big changes that I decided to start implementing into my everyday life because, as you can imagine, the stress and the pain was starting to really take its toll on me. So after that first big panic attack, I decided to make a huge decision for myself, which was to stop drinking coffee. I know. Not only coffee, but caffeine in general. As you guys know, coffee is like the number one caffeine drink that I have. And then smaller caffeine levels are like matcha drinks. You guys are well aware that every single day I start off with a double shot of espresso. I make my little iced latte drink. And then more often than not, definitely the more, I'll have a second iced coffee that I make at home, or I'll even like buy it out. So I'm consuming 3 shots to 4 shots of caffeine, espresso caffeine a day. And that's just kind of like what has been my norm for a while. Now I know that there's like a lot of acidity in coffee drinks. And then just with the panic attacks that started, I wasn't too sure if my high caffeine levels were contributing to the panic attacks, but obviously they were so terrifying to me, and to go through that and experience that wasn't worth it. So that very next day, I made the decision to cut out caffeine just to see if that was what was causing the anxiety attacks. And again, I think it's a mixture of a lot of different things. The mental health part, the pain, it triggers this almost like trauma response. And then the caffeine on top kind of elevates these like levels in my body. So yeah, it's just like the perfect storm. I've read a lot online that people choose to reduce their caffeine intake or eliminate it altogether when they have gut issues. And a lot of times, like I said, the acidity in the coffee ends up causing more indigestion and like more acid reflux. Up until all these issues started, I hadn't noticed any stomach pain, any stomach issues. So I'm not too sure if the coffee was even causing the stomach issues. But like I said, it was definitely exacerbating the panic attacks. So that is one really massive change that I've made for myself. And then along with that, I also decided to kind of refocus on my nutrition and like what I'm consuming day to day. I don't ever think I've been in a position in my life where I really had to like moderate my food intake. For the most part, as long as I get a really good workout in and I push myself at the gym, I never felt guilty about eating some candy at home or, getting a pastry at the coffee shop. Like I'll treat myself. And for the most part, I haven't ever felt negative side effects overall with my health based on like what I'm eating. But because we have all of these tummy issues that we have absolutely no idea what's causing it, I had to make these changes and at least like start somewhere. And I feel like over time I can start incorporating the things I was eating slowly and then kind of reevaluate whether or not that harms me or benefits me. And again, because I don't necessarily want to self-diagnose my issues, the best I can do is like trial and error. I pretty much went on a tofu, soup, water diet, and crackers, like Ritz crackers. When it came to like the acid reflux and the heartburn and like how severe that was, the only big thing that was really helping me at the time was I started drinking mineral water. This was advice that was given to me by Jordan's mom. And honestly, it helped a lot. So I started drinking mineral water first thing in the morning, and it would really help to kind of like relieve that pressure. I would get a lot of burps out. My apologies for the constant interruptions. We now have the girly on the lap. I do want to take a second here to pause and say how proud I am for honestly just like my surprise at the fact that I can crochet and talk. It's only been a couple of rows, but a win is a win. Oh my God. I take it back. All of my talking, and I just noticed 2 rows where I didn't make an increase at the raglan increase. So I take it back. I literally have to frog it now. Oh my Lord. So as to not drag this on any longer than I've already made it, it just got to a point where I was so freaked out and so stressed out that we decided to go to urgent care. we had to pay out of pocket because I have or had an insurance problem. But yeah, anyways, we go to urgent care, we get checked out. I don't know what it is with urgent cares, but at least this one that I went to, we were a little bit underwhelmed with the care that they gave us. The PA claimed that nothing seemed dire or like urgent, but he did highly suggest that when I have the chance, I need to get a specialist, not only for GI, but I also need to get an OBGYN specialist because something is off. He did admit that. I will say that going to the urgent care, at least for a few days, did give me peace of mind. So at least, to have that kind of confirmation did help to ease my panic attacks. Definitely still continue to have them in the following days, but they weren't as severe or as frequent. The best quote unquote diagnosis that the PA was able to give me at urgent care was that it looked something similar to one of a few things. It could either be GERD, it could also possibly be IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome. Strong contender, strong possibility. And it could also be ulcers, which is something that I did kind of deal with, non-definitively, but an issue that I kind of had as like an 8th to 11th grade. So yeah, that's like a whole other thing as well. So yeah, since that appointment, the best thing that I've done for myself as well, and the other really big change I was talking about, is that I pretty much simplified my diet to something that's like friendly for IBS. So a big one is that I've cut out like white bread, no more sandwiches. I've cut out white rice, cut out pastries, all like the delicious, yummy things that I would love before, gone. As I said earlier, the caffeine has been eliminated. No more red meat, no more like beef, like no beef pasta, no hamburgers. Essentially, all that I'm eating is high fiber vegetables, brown rice, still love the tofu, very plain chicken, and very plain salmon. And that's, for the most part, pretty much it. About like 5 or 6 days ago, I ate one slice of toasted sourdough bread. Messed me up. So yeah, things like that are out of the diet for now. Really, really watching my dairy intake. And for the most part, that is pretty much what's been going on with me lately, with a lot of probably unnecessary information. I was also suggested by the urgent care to start taking an over-the-counter acid reflux reducer. So currently I'm on Prilosec. I do want to take a second to kind of briefly talk about health insurance. I'm not going to get into it too deep, but I just kind of want to talk about like my situation with health insurance. I'm sure a lot of you guys are sitting at home right now listening to this video saying like, Erin, if you're going through all of these issues, why don't you go get seen by your doctor? Why don't you go get checked out? To put it plainly, I had health insurance in California, but when we moved over here to Massachusetts, it didn't really occur to me to like update my health insurance and check if what I had was going to work here. And the quick and short answer was no. I'll be honest, I think it just slipped my mind. It's something that I should have stayed up to date on, but I got lazy and I didn't think I would need it. And it's always in those times when you don't think anything bad is going to happen to you or you think you'll be fine. And it's in those moments where the bad juju gets you. So if you guys are listening to this and you're in a position where you're about to move out of state or you have already moved out of state, within like the first month, please do yourself a favor and double check your health insurance. Man, healthcare in America is also like another topic that a lot of us could talk about for a while because healthcare is first and foremost so freaking expensive. Not to mention, once I started looking at insurance over here in Massachusetts, a lot of people were saying that Mass is one of the most expensive states to get health insurance. And I was like, oh, that's freaking great for me. So to kind of like bring the health insurance story full circle, I did finally get set up and signed up and paid for new health insurance that is specific only to Massachusetts. But I just kind of chose that plan because, again, it's just so expensive. I just need to like work with what I got. And the only downside is that enrolling for health insurance, your coverage does not begin until the first of the following month. So since the first week of April, I have been counting down the days to when I can finally get a new primary care provider. So yeah, for those of you who are wondering, like, if I was being silly for not going to my doctor, I didn't have a doctor. I couldn't see a doctor. At this point, it's a waiting game. My symptoms have been a little bit better the last few weeks. I've gotten a lot better grip on my anxiety and my panic attacks. There are still moments randomly where I can feel like anxiety coming on and I can feel my heart racing. And the best that I can do for myself is to just take really big, deep breaths. So I'm really just kind of like focusing on my breath work, trying to slow down my heart rate. And the other really big thing I've been doing is multiple daily walks outside. When I feel that anxiety coming on, I don't want to say like distract myself, but that is like the first big step, is to get your mind off of inflating that or conflating that feeling. And it's gotten to a point now where I really look forward to them. Also, with the acid reflux and the indigestion, standing up and more specifically walking really helps to release the pressure for some reason. Like when I'm sitting down and laying down, it's bad. But once I start kind of like moving my body, the walks really help with that. So yeah, the daily multiple trips outside is actually like a necessity. Yeah, that is my super, super long-winded story about what has been going on with me. And in case you needed like any clarification, overall, I am okay. Like I said, I got a better grip on the mental health. Still dealing with, all of this day to day, but it's also kind of at this point where I hate to say that like I'm used to it, but you almost get comfortable with the discomfort. Nutritional diet is still going strong. I am going to make salmon dinner tonight with brown rice and some kind of vegetable, probably like butternut squash. Like I said, if any of you guys have dealt with these kind of issues, please feel free to like leave a comment and like let's start a conversation how you guys have dealt with it, things that have helped you. So now that we've pretty much gone over the guts of the story, few things I would love to kind of like share with you, a little change up in the topic, because I don't want this to be like all about my health. I'm sure some of you are curious, like, wow, is Erin really off coffee for good? I will say, I need to set this down. I will say I did go 2 whole weeks strong without any caffeine, no coffee, no nothing. But then I started like getting ads on Instagram, and I'm sure you guys have heard of like mushroom coffee, which is something that I wanted to try. Now, mushroom coffee, at least the brand that I have decided to get, does have caffeine in it. There's like low acidity, so it's not the kind of coffee that's gonna like hurt your stomach and give you indigestion. And then the second thing with the mushroom coffee is that there's a ton of like nootropics and natural mushrooms that are really good for digestion and gut health. So yeah, I was suckered by Instagram ads, but I do want to say it paid off. Like I said, I went 2 weeks without any caffeine, and then literally on the 2-week mark, I ordered Everyday Dose. Now, this is not sponsored, okay? I'm really over the moon with them. So as you can see, I'm like almost done. I did start drinking Everyday Dose, and for those that have ever been curious about mushroom coffee, at least this brand in specific, I have really grown to love. For the time being, until I can get seen by a doctor and get some kind of answers, I'm no longer going to be on lattes and espressos. Those are things of the past. Genuinely think that I'm going to make the switch permanently to Everyday Dose, or at least mushroom coffee. I can't say that I'll never have an iced latte again or an espresso drink, but that seems something that is like very far down the line in the future. And the benefits that I've been feeling from this mushroom coffee, the drink sits really well in my stomach. I think the trick of mushroom coffees is you have to find a way to flavor it to your liking. So what I did the very first week of drinking it was literally just the hot water, the powder, you froth it up, and then I put some ice in there, and then I'll also do the Trader Joe's oat milk brown sugar creamer because I'm trying not to do, again, like the straight up dairy. I like the dairy alternatives. So that was like a little very simple combo. But then I received an email from the Everyday Dose company, and they kind of give you like little ways to, what am I trying to say? To tweak the drink and like flavor it differently. And they suggested cinnamon. So now what I do is I'll throw the powder in there, I'll sprinkle in some cinnamon, and then I'll froth it up. And then I'll add in the creamer, and it is delicious. Like, if nobody said anything, I could swear that this is like a cinnamon oat milk latte. It tastes so delicious. And also for those who are like wondering or have ever been curious, it doesn't taste like mushrooms. It doesn't taste fungusy or vegetable-y. The best way to put it is that it really does taste like coffee, but just a little bit more, I don't know, like earthy. But like I said, the way I flavor it, I would think that it's like an iced brown sugar drink. It's just so, so good. A lot of people get anxiety from caffeine, and naturally I started to as well. Highly, highly suggest to at least try it out. It has made such a difference for me. And this again has caffeine in it, so I still get my focus. I still get my little energy buzz. It also contains L-theanine, so it's like a time-release caffeine. I never feel a crash. I never feel tired. I don't feel jittery. Very, very similar to how I feel when I drink the Magic Mind drinks. You know, you guys have seen me sponsor those in the past, which I also love those. But it's just like a really calm focus. So yeah, I want to give some high praise to the mushroom coffee. The other thing I wanted to briefly talk about as well is the fact that I was and currently am now again working on this new yarn collection that I'm so freaking excited for. If you guys follow my Instagram, then you've probably seen a few updates, especially at the beginning of like all the health stuff. As you guys know, at the start of the year, I was kind of going through like some seasonal depression, whatever it may have been, just unmotivated, uninspired. And then finally, it was like right at the beginning of March, I had this willingness and this excitement to create again and to try something new, do new collections. I had all these like really fun, just new ideas that I wanted to implement and try out. I started planning for this new spring collection, which is going to be a set of 10 mini hanks, of course, all 10 different colors. But I want to be able to offer it in minis as well as full hanks, which is something that is kind of new. You know, in the past, there was one time where I did make those little mini flower bouquets, but it's like the mini hank bouquets. And that was so much fun. You guys received it so well. And I don't know why it took me so long to want to try something like that again. But nonetheless, I was like, you know what? Let's go back to minis. The mini collection is fun. And I also really like the idea of the mini hanks because I feel like it makes it a little bit more accessible. You know, if you wanted to get all 10 colors in full hanks, that would be extremely pricey. But to be able to have access to like a little taste of every single color, I just felt was like a little bit more inclusive, if that's the right word, just more accessible without you guys having to like spend a boatload of money. And honestly, I just want my colorways out there. Like, I want to be able to share my art and my colorways with you guys and see the things that you make with them. I mean, minis are just so stinking cute. So yeah, anyways, that is something that I started planning on, and I was dyeing up the colors for about 2 weeks. I was going strong. I was doing like a new color every other day. Sometimes I was doing 2 colors a day. And then all of a sudden, that is when all of the health issues started up, which is why it's very confusing to me because I felt like I was starting to feel really fulfilled again and really motivated. And then it's always like at the perfect but most inopportune time for something to go wrong. that something did. And, going through all of this uncertainty and all these emotions, I did have to take a step back from creating, from working, which was really hard. And even at the moment, it's still a little bit difficult trying to get back into a routine. But it just got to a point where mentally I was completely unable to even think about work. I mean, the stomach pain is one thing, but the anxiety made it impossible. So yeah, having to take a step back, focus on my health was obviously a priority. I had no other choice. And at the end of the day, that's honestly what's most important. Like, if I take care of my health now, in the long run, I'll be able to do what I want to do. But in the moment, I have to make that hard call for myself to take my focus away from working on my business or stop dyeing yarn, stop even like crocheting. I was aware before, how much of my identity is wrapped up in what I do, but it's not until you're like forced to stop that you feel, or that I felt, almost like this really heavy like emptiness. And it's not only that like I don't want to do it, it's just that like I feel I can't. And yeah, to just not be able to do that was really devastating to like myself and my ego and almost like my worth. It was kind of like when I don't have the ability to create at my fingertips, it's like, what else would I want to do? So it just makes me appreciate what I do even more. Slowly but surely starting to make a comeback. Like I said, this is the first video I filmed in probably like at least a month. It's like a mountain. Like, it feels really hard to come back to it when you've taken so much time off from it, if that makes sense. Like, as excited as I am to do it, I think just being out of that muscle memory, out of that practice, it just makes it a little bit more difficult to jump back into the rhythm versus, when you already have that momentum, it's just like boom, 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 boom. But now I try to pick out 2 big things that I would love to execute for the day. So today I had 2. One was hit the gym. 2 is film this freaking video that I thought was going to be like a 30-minute video. And it's looking to be like a beast right now. I don't even know what the editing is going to look like. In regards though to the spring collection, I did finish up all 10 colorways, about to start knitting and crocheting the swatches for all of the 10 colorways, which is really, really exciting. I caked them all up the other day and they look, oh my God, they look so good. I can't explain the excitement I feel to launch this and to just like reveal these colorways to you guys. And this is like another topic that I'll probably have to speak on again in the near future. But along with this new concept of the mini sets and the full hanks and everything and the collections, something else I don't really think I've announced, I'm in the process of creating a new website. But for a really long time, I've also been wanting to switch to Shopify for a bunch of different reasons. I felt like with, the new themes and stuff that I want to launch for the website was also the perfect time to rebrand and to rebuild. So yeah, I made a new website. It's still in the process of being like built up and everything, but I was able to get all of my products transferred over onto the new Shopify. I'm also going to have a new website name, a new brand name. I'll touch on it briefly, but I'm gonna have to bring it up again because this video is gonna be way too long. For at least like the last year, I've kind of been like struggling as well with like brand identity. And like how people are going to perceive me or how I want my brand to be perceived. I felt that it was very confusing. And then after kind of like talking to some of you guys on live stream as well, you guys kind of affirmed my fears, which is not a bad thing. It's definitely great to get the feedback. But my website being itserinbchannel.com, the yarn is kind of named like Erin Reiko Yarns, but it never really had that name. It was more so just the website. But I would use my name, Erin Reiko, on like all the labels and all the packaging. But when I would talk to you guys, some of you guys were like, we don't know if your yarn is It's Erin B's yarn or Erin Reiko's yarn. So with the feedback from you guys and then also just what my subconscious and conscious thoughts were thinking is that this is the most opportune time as well to rebrand myself, the yarns. I don't think I'm gonna share it yet. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing out of the blue per se, but it does feel good to like finalize these thoughts and to give my yarn and my yarn line and my whole brand a proper name. So the last few weeks as well, I've been working with my designer who did my previous logo as well. I love him, Justin. Your work, incredible, chef's kiss. But yeah, we've kind of been going back and forth with a few different drafts, and we finally finalized the new logo, and I love it. So I get to put that up on the new website soon. But in regards to launching like the new collection and the website, I don't have a definitive timeline yet. Honestly, just trying to take it day by day, and I don't want to rush this. I want to do it justice. I also don't want to, put pressure on myself where pressure doesn't need to be. I cannot wait to do it. I'm so excited. It looks so good. Like right now, you guys can't see it, but I'm looking at my yarn rack in front of me, and I have all of the mini hanks and all of the full hanks dyed, and they're just sitting there. I just need to package them up. I bought like special like little packaging for it, but it just looks so good. I'm so proud of it. Yeah, I think a new thing I also want to do with the website is I want to be able to put out more collections of yarn more frequently. And I think the best way to be able to facilitate that is to do smaller batches. So what I'm kind of spitballing with is I'll dye up a certain quantity and have those just ready and available. And if they happen to sell out, people can sign up hopefully for like a wait list or a pre-order. And what I'm thinking is that once every month or maybe every other month, I can reopen pre-orders. That way I'm not just stuck dyeing the same collection all month long. Like I'll just have a set quantity. I'm not really going to know what it's going to look like or the timeline, honestly, until we kind of go through the first round, the first cycle. And then that will also leave me like the rest of the month to curate other smaller collections, whether that's more 10 mini hank sets or even like 5 mini hank sets. But yeah, I just want to like let my creativity run. I want to just dye up colors that I have in my head and coordinate different colorways and collections and put together like themes. Yeah, so I'm sorry if it sounds a little confusing how exactly I'm going to do this, but like I said, I don't even think I know for sure. We're not going to know how it's going to run until we just kind of go with it. Yeah, there's a lot of things in the works. And if you guys have happened to make it here to the end of this video, I have one last really fun announcement. And before I do announce it, I want to take a second to say thank you for staying this long, for listening to me ramble and just talk about me and what's going on. And yeah, as I said earlier, having to step away from work and step away from YouTube was so difficult for me. I'm a creature of habit and a creature of pattern. Not being able to put out videos and connect with you guys or even like live stream hasn't been an option for me, has been weighing really heavy on me. And I felt and I feel so disconnected, felt so isolated as well, because again, like the feeling of community is tied up in my art and my work. Yeah, if you guys have stayed until the end to listen to me, please know how grateful I am for you all. I freaking love you guys so much. I love this community, and I can only hope and pray that I get to continue to do this for as long as I can. All of that being said, the very last announcement that I have is that I have been accepted as a market vendor for the Boston Fiber Festival, which is going to happen, I believe, September 7th. It's a Sunday. So freaking pumped. This is technically my first time doing like an actual market. My first time like really vending. Yeah, I am so freaking excited. I got accepted, but that also means that I am going to need to start dyeing up some serious hankage. Like, I'm honestly going to need your guys' feedback and opinions because, again, this is like my first time. I don't quite know what I'm doing. I'm still trying to figure out, how many hanks of yarn I should bring, but more specifically, what I need help with is the best bases to bring and the best weights to bring. On my website, I carry 12 or 13 different bases and weights of yarn. Realistically, I'm not going to bring all 12 bases to the market. I want to focus it more on like most used, most popular yarns. So I would still love to bring some novelty yarns with me. My gut is telling me, of course, some kind of sock or fingering weight. And then, of course, like a DK and a worsted weight. But yeah, for those of you that have either vended at markets or you just attend them all the time, please feel free to also let me know in the comments which bases are like the safest to bring. I think it would still be really fun to bring some of like my boucle, like a small amount of the boucle fiber, possibly some cotton. And then in like the last few months, I picked up some new yarns as well, where I have more of like a slubby yarn. I think it'd also be fun to bring like the linen. But again, I don't know how popular the linen yarn would be at a market. But at the same time, it could separate me from other vendors that don't have these different style bases. So obviously there's a lot of things in the works. I have no idea what I'm doing. I also want to bring a grip of mini yarns. I think it'd be fun to provide not only full hanks, but also my head is kind of thinking like a build your own mini hank set. So you can kind of pick out like 5 different minis and make your own like little bundle. Yeah, I'm going to be vending for my first time ever. It's going to be so exciting. And if you guys happen to live in the East Coast area, most specifically Boston, Massachusetts, or even New York, and you're planning on coming to the festival, please let me know. We've made it to the very end of this video. If you've happened to stay up until this point, leave me a comment with the swirly emoji. You can either do swirly emoji eyes or just like the swirl. Yeah, real ones, you'll know in the following weeks what the swirl is about. But thank you guys again so much for staying, for listening, for supporting me. I'll be seeing you all very, very soon. Bye.